Did you have to make your own lunch when you were a kid going to school, or did your parents do it for you?
Fun fact, I made my own lunch until one day I brought the giant chocolate bunny I got from Easter as the only thing for lunch, and then they stopped letting me pack my own lunch.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that. Wait,
Why do
was
you
it
ask?
like solid chocolate or like
Oh
just
yeah, it
chocolate
was
bunny?
massive. And
Oh, that's awesome. I just imagine you chawing on that in the middle of the lunchroom.
oh,
That
for
is just
sure. And the
great.
teachers were like, did you bring anything else?"
Oh, right.
And of
Yeah.
course, little Sammy's like,
Right.
"Yeah, yeah."
Like, yeah, of course, vegetables. I mean, okay, like the economics of taking something like that make total sense. You could trade that for pizza. You could trade that for anything, right?
Well, that's
Like,
true. We didn't do a lot of trading though in my place.
what? Oh
No.
my gosh, I learned basic negotiation skills because my parents sent weird stuff for us with school, like just like not normal lunches. I was just so envious of snackables, right?
Hmm,
Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so
weird.
I had to learn to negotiate on that.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well,
I'm
hello. How are
asking
you?
because I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Okay, why I'm asking is because I am finding some major parallels between how parents move from them making all the lunches to lunch automation where their kids are making lunches. I'm finding deep parallels between that and AI automations.
Define lunch automation. Give me a second here.
Okay, all
What?
right, cool. Okay, so like a lot of parents start making lunch for their kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and lunches are pretty much always four things, right? You got some kind of main, cheese and crackers, sandwich, whatever. And then you've got veggies, you've got snacks like a chips or something. And then you've got a dessert, right? Like those, it's kind of those four things, right?
I suppose.
And so parents start by doing all of that themselves. As their kids get older, then their kids start to do more and more of that, right? And by the time I was in middle school, if I didn't make a lunch, I didn't eat lunch, right? That was full automated for my parents because their goal was less steps for parents, right?
I suppose. Would
Does that make
would you
sense?
count that as automation though? That's almost just like delegation.
Well, delegation is an automation, right? So if you're the person that doesn't have to do the steps anymore, you've automated that. You've handed it off to somebody else, and how they get it done is how it gets done. So
I
if the
feel
idea is less steps for parents than more steps for kids, doesn't matter, right? So in AI automations, what you're doing is less steps for humans,
more
and
stuff.
if assistants or whatever have to do a lot of extra work, then that's fine. Or if they do more steps, so that's the parallel I'm thinking about.
Okay, that's
Yes,
hilarious.
Megan.
I
Oh, yeah, Megan. That is so right. I got tired of making lunches.
I
So
also
tired.
need everyone to know because it started to sound a little kitschy and I need to be very clear that I had no idea Tim was going to ask me that this morning. Like this was not like a hand. I'm sure he planned, but I had no clue. So I started to realize like I was asking you what are the obvious questions next. And I'm like, this sounds scripted. And unfortunately, while I would love to script us more, this was not scripted.
Oh, 5 kids. Oh my gosh. Megan, that is so much lunch work.
That's
That is so
crazy.
much lunch work. Yeah.
Ugh.
Um,
She's like, when does the automation start? And can it start yesterday? Please
okay,
remind
so
me.
here's a couple of other really cool things. And no, this wasn't scripted. And if anybody knows me, you know that the last 10 seconds before that thing went down, I was like, oh, I should ask Sami about this thing I've been thinking about. So that's how we ended up here.
I was spending 50 seconds trying to like panic pour my coffee this morning. I was like right there and I was like listening, hoping that I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do?
Okay, so a couple of cool parallels about this. If I could just take one more minute on this topic, which is, I know, off topic, but still, like, here we go.
It's gonna make for killer cut up for social.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's
All
do
right,
it.
great. All right. All right, so you've got a couple of elements that really exist in this, right? So, for example, edge case failure. So I was talking with Josh from Meet the Moment, new initiative Josh is really amazing. Doing some training with him, Beth Cantor at Project Evident, and he was talking about edge case failures. So an edge case failure is something that you didn't anticipate that where an automation fails. Okay, one time
Edge case? Is that what you're saying? Edge case?
Edge case failure.
Okay, I kept hearing educate. Sorry. Thank you.
Educate. Oh, that's interesting. No, edge case failure.
Okay.
One time I took a cup of noodles to school, assuming I could find hot water, because I just assume I can like figure it out. But there was no hot water to be found, and cold water does not work. That was a good edge case failure, right? Another time, my brother figured out if he took gum to school, so he got some gum, he took gum to school, he started selling it for $0.25 a piece. And this is back when the whole pack, a big pack, was like 38 cents or something, right? He was selling it for $0.25 a piece. And he started buying his own hot lunch, which was our dream when I was a kid, was for us lunch, right? Anyway, so he started buying his own lunch, which is a full automation. My parents had 0 steps to make lunch for him. But that was an ethical violation, right? So because you were not allowed to sell, and also like he ended up with friends that were mad at him. And then one time,
he ended up with friends that were mad at him.
And I tried to just take like chocolate or some dessert for school. My sister told on me, and that's a human in the loop, right? How
long have you been sitting on this?
I thought of it on Monday.
I was like, this isn't something you just drummed up in 10 seconds.
No. I've been thinking about this so hardcore because it's so important to try and identify what are the steps to automation, what happens with it, right? The moment my mom finally wrote the instructions, we're like, you got to make a main, you got to make veggies, and put it on the fridge and then stock the fridge with everything. She could stop doing complex prompts every day, right? And that's a gem. Right?
Oh.
You've got instructions, and then you've got ingredients in the fridge, right? So those are the files. Right. It's yeah. There's a lot there, right?
That's awesome.
Anyway, okay. So that's there we go.
I love it though. I'm a little jealous that the first time I had to hear it was live, but there you go, everybody. You got my fully live reactions.
Yeah. I'll do a lot more with this because it's just a really helpful way to help everybody just think about this in less AI ways. And so, yeah. Yes. Well, I love that. Oh, Megan gets the quote of the week. Moms are gems. I'm going to say parents are gems because there's a lot of dads out there making lunches. Probably not as many dads as moms making lunches, but parents are making a lot of lunches. And if they can, the parents that figure out how to really dial it in with their kids where their kids are doing it, that's awesome. By the way, there's chain of thought prompting in here too. First you get the bread, then you get the jelly, then you get the sandwich, or you get the sandwich bag, right? Like it's all in there. There's even more. It's just amazing. Anyway.
You kill me. I love it.
There we go.
Hey, so today we're gonna learn. We're gonna revisit what we talked about last week. Because at the end of the conversation, and we have Dan back with us today, so we'll bring him up here in a little bit. But one thing that we all kind of recognized last week is we'd really just scratched the surface again on Canvas, and we'd ended with that board report. We're going to work with that same data today, and we're going to look at some donor-facing dashboards and some other ways to illustrate and analyze the information in front of you to help drive decision-making, et cetera. And then I'll show you the little add Gemini features tool that's on there, and we can test it out in different ways because I've only used it a couple times and I've seen it work in some ways. And then Dan and I were talking yesterday, there are some times where it's that was irrelevant and unnecessary. So that's cool too. But before we do that, I would love to remind everybody about the upcoming, I don't know how to make this less spatially weird. There we go. There was more of us on the screen when I picked that one, but don't forget, in September, we have the Fundraising AI Global Impact Summit, or Global Summit called Amplify Impact, which it took me an abnormal amount of time to realize that was an AI play, Amplify Impact AI. It's literally even highlighted in their socials. So here we are. Slightly embarrassing, but
aren't you on their marketing too? Just saying.
Well, I'm amplification and outreach. There's a difference. I
know. I'm just messing with you.
Sorry, Jen. Anyway, one thing that I really want to remind everyone is this is sort of this is something that you've been very involved in. I've been very involved in. Like, this is something that you and I have been involved in separate of our working together. Like, that's how important we both find fundraising AI's work to be. And go ahead.
I just think it is one of the best examples of what it looks like to organize well at the human level. And I can just say, I was around when a lot of this got launched, thanks to Tim Serantonio, Woodrow Rosenbaum, of course, Nathan Chappelle, Mallory, a lot of us were at an event in Louisiana, got together, and within 6 months had a framework and a summit, right? That's the kind of work that's possible. That framework is one of the first ones put out around responsible and beneficial use of AI. And I mean, Nathan Chappelle worked his butt off to make that happen in a short amount of time. And it is still, if you start looking at ethical frameworks, fundraising AI is going to come up in the Google responses because it is such foundational work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think this is an important group. The advisors on this group are like illustrious, and there are many of them because it's such an important part of what we think the future looks like for nonprofits and AI.
No, I completely agree. And
So
I think
free summit come.
Yeah. Like the summit, well, fundraising AI as a whole, their focus is responsible and ethical use of AI and building that framework. The summit is sort of an all-encompassing how to then utilize AI in your day-to-day. So it's not just about fundraising. It is about across the board. And there are different, there's a bunch of different topics and categorizations. The reason why I say that is because I don't want people to think, well, I'm not in charge of our AI governance, so it's not something.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I'm not always the best at quickly getting to that point, but I wanted to clarify, like, this isn't just for those who are AI practitioners or governing in their organization. Like, this is for all people in nonprofit. Like, there's no future without AI.
And anymore. Philanthropy. Actually, I just want to make a plug that people that are on the philanthropy side of the work as well, a lot of these factors around AI really still matter. So I think that there's a lot here for everyone. It's under fundraising, but there is wide application for how this is used across organizations. So
100%. So all right, let's bring on our friend. Let's bring Dan on the screen here, and let's not have that. Wow.
Wait, what? I didn't even see it.
We were like this.
Hi, Dan.
Good morning, all.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
No, you go for it. No, thanks. Not a fan. Dan, how are you?
I'm great. I'm agreeing with Megan. I had 4 kids, and they were competitive swimmers, and we made them to cook, dishwash, laundry, everything.
You programmed them right.
Parental automation.
And they're, high-performing young adults in training at this point. So
yeah. Right.
And I agree. The fundraising AI, when we came up with our first manifesto, that was a foundation document that we built ours from. So
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's great. Yeah.
Sorry, my brain's still like, when I am old enough to know this, when your CD would like skip, like play again.
Right.
My brain's doing that with the parental automation thing right now. Just.
Okay. All right. Stop. This is not a distraction. That is your brain telling you that there's information there.
Oh, 100%. All I can think about is how do we make sure that we clearly communicate, that does not mean we are saying we should automate our lives. We're saying this is an example of what automation is like without computers. Because like my brain, you know what I mean? Like at first my brain really didn't catch that. Remember, I'm here in South Dakota where people are like, I'm not letting the computers take over.
Yeah.
So they hear parental automation and they're going to panic.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, all of parenthood is parental automation. Like you are like the
okay. Can I try and summarize what
thing in front of me is scaring me.
Okay. All right. So first of all, and this is a great, I love this. Every time I see a reaction, I'm like, what's the response here? Right. Because I'm so focused on agency. That reaction is so important because it's throwing a warning up saying that there's a risk, right? And you're exactly right. There's a big risk that people will hear that and think that what we're saying is automate your like use AI to manage your children so you don't have to relate to them.
Yeah.
That is so exactly opposite of everything I'm saying. And I'm so glad that you raised that, because that is not at all what I mean. And I think that's really helpful. What I explicitly mean is that the role of parenting is very similar to the role of what you do as a person that tries to create agents and assistants that will take over things that you currently do, and you develop them into the
Yes.
responsible young people, responsible young agents that they need to be. That's what I mean. So yeah,
How cute.
when you do parenting right, you end up with high functioning kids who become adults and are no longer kids, that know they have these set of instructions in them. And so I think that's really, really, I'm so glad you were asking about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. I hope that's clarifying.
Extremely.
Yeah. And thank you for raising that risk, because that makes a lot of sense that that's what it would sound like.
Well, I mean, and I didn't raise it necessarily to be like, hold on, there's a risk here. So I appreciate that you kind of clarify, like, that's what that means. It was just one, I think it's so smooth to think about parenting as like essentially like continual building of an automation.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy to think about it that way. And it's like,
oh my gosh.
But let me add, and we're doing the automation and the augmentation because I would prefer to have higher, more quality moments with my kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the counterpoint, which is it's not about making lunches. It's about, they need to as adults and humans. But what would I do with that time?
Yeah.
Do other more higher value, more impactful things as a dad.
Huh.
You're pressing into something that is a core Lockie trait, which is like the whole point of life is to go work hard and accomplish things. So I'm really glad that you're pointing that out, Dan, because you are exactly right that when I stop and think about it, when we did this, it was intentional for us to make people we wanted to relate to when they were older, and that they wanted to relate to us. That was a defined goal of ours. And so I think that's such an important way to describe it, Dan. So I really appreciate that clarity on it too. Can I say one more thing about mindset and risk? Because it's just like right there.
Might as well.
When I was creating the AI framework around how, the Serenity Prayer and all of that, the thing that struck me was how a reaction done well is alerting us to a risk through a fear. And that fear is the alert system. And when you stay with the fear instead of focusing on the risk, you can't get away from it. And I'm a longtime participant in reacting to fears over and over without really responding to risk. And so I just want to say, when it comes to AI, this is something that will happen over and over with us, where we all will react to a fear, it's identifying a risk, and our next move is to convert that reaction to a response to the risk so that we can let go of the fear. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it is really complicated.
Yes.
I say that because
no, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I started typing here. You can see, I was typing literally to add to the stream, this little guy, because I liked the phrasing there, right? Like, reaction to a fear is alerting to a risk. And I think there's potentially a couple other ways that you'd said it there. I think this is a topic that we should, maybe it's a shorter episode. If we don't want to take 40, because we're not demoing things, but I think it would be really interesting if we could then take what we're learning here and try and use Canvas or some of these other tools to like illustrate some of what you're talking about. Because my mind started drawing the map as you were saying it, and then I got crosshaired. So I think that's the solution, right? Let's not try to beat it through today. Let's
do it. Let's come back to it, because I did take the time to diagram this out, and then I had to cut it. I had to cut it from the AI for Anyone course So there's a whole package ready to go there. And yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So
Oh, we could do a
anyway.
little series, and it
Yeah,
can be a nice
totally,
little preview
totally
for AI
fun.
for anyone.
Yeah, sure.
Too.
Yeah, great. All right.
Which people may not even know you have, because we talk about the Upskillerator a lot.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So maybe next week we'll also add in a little preview of
Sure.
like what AI for anyone.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Someday we'll be better at this. We're really just here so we can have a good time. We're really
I know,
grateful
I
that
think
you all have a
that's-
good time
yeah,
with us.
Right.
But I'm going to be honest, this is just for the three of us, apparently.
Also, I think people may not know. I don't know what you're going to present when I get here. Like,
yeah,
I'll find
no,
out
most day. I
about
try to
20
like
minutes before.
I try to like sort of approve if I think something's going to be a little bit difficult or if something's going to fail. But then otherwise, I just show up and tell Tim this is what we're going to show today.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so sorry
like
for that very
your
long
off the cuff prompting.
Yeah.
It's helpful. So
okay, so with that very let's hop into it. Canvas.
let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so I can remind everybody kind of where we left last week. Do you see my screen?
I do. Yeah.
You guys over here, so you don't see. Okay. Perfect. So this was Dan. Reminder: this is Dan's giant deep research from last week. Dan, I had actually copied it into the Impact Me Foundation so I could make notes and edits without affecting your copy. But if we remember, we left off after we built our form for AI learning and ethics program. We made that post-program assessment form. We took the responses and then we generated a canvas from it. I was trying to find that canvas, which I have another version of it here. So this was sort of where we landed, right?
That is so beautiful. I just got to say.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that like you'd prefer to have different, but like generally speaking, this is cool as heck, and I absolutely love it. And I appreciate, like, so we'd added some of these as we went, and we didn't get the chance to really go through them. And so I tried to adjust it to a format that I could show a little bigger. But this was created for our board to analyze the success of the program, right? So this is that first year assessment, trying to figure out, should we do this again? So this is really like that grant reporting or governing reporting type information and dashboard. And then we kind of got to talking last week that there's a whole unsaid piece of this that is donor facing, that is internally facing. I mean, there's so much still to be learned here that we were like, let's dive back in. And so I actually took Dan's daily here.
So Dan created this as a deep research.
Yes, and we gave it to everybody last week. I can actually put it right back up on the QR code.
And if I can just say, like, we're all learning, and both Sami and Tim know this about me. Like, I have to learn something new, I instantly go to deep research, essentially to get the primer on the topic.
Yes.
So when we were going to, we're going to dig into the canvas, part of the challenge is there's a button in the create, which is blank, which allows you essentially to prompt, what do you want? So I'm like, well, what can we do? And this is the result of deep research.
Yes. Tim, were you going to say something? Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say that instinct to go to deep research is something I'm trying to develop for myself, because it's not my instinct to go do that. And I didn't learn to do that in early AI work that I was doing. So I feel like it's a cheat code that is available to almost everybody, and people don't know how to use it. So Dan, thank you for continually coming back to it.
Yeah. Truly.
Okay. So we've got this, and then we created
we created that. Yep. We created that dashboard. So now I want to show how I was just going to copy over prompts that I'd created, but I changed my mind. I'm going to actually show you how I would get something like this giant deep research output that tells me awesome ways to utilize Canvas and what we already have to create new prompts for new visualizations. So stick with me here. I'm going to say, we want to visualize the results of our post-program assessment. I can't spell ever. And we're going to upload those files. Nope, we're going to add from Drive. Sorry. Recent, and it's this guy. Attached, right? Consider the here, let me add this now. Add from Drive the copy of Canvas. What's the name of this? Consider the as a guide for developing comprehensive prompts for Gemini's Canvas. Get me a few prompts to use to achieve my goal of, I want to do a donor goal. Do you want it to be, we're trying to get money for the program? Do you want it to be, we're reporting out from a stewardship perspective? Yes, we could do both. I'd rather a specific use case to start though. What do you guys think?
Just the first one.
Okay.
For now, let's keep it simple.
To achieve my goal, I want to show this, or I want to use this visualization to solicit gifts and philanthropic support for this program. And then remember, we created like a little overview of the program. Overview of the program included as well. Any thoughts or advice on, I mean, this is a really rudimentary prompt, but I did that on purpose. Is there anything you guys would add from an advice perspective?
No, just do it, because you'll quickly see what you missed, and you just
I agree. I always like to also give you guys a chance to like tell me we should consider adding.
I like doing that right after. I like doing that right after you've hit enter.
Trust me, I know you do.
It's the best. I don't know if you've tried that, Dan. It's really fun.
Dan's a lot nicer.
Everybody knows Dan's nicer. I don't mind that you say it, but everybody knows that.
The worst. Okay, so this is super long. Holy smokes. Okay, so let's talk through what we've got here. So it's saying here's a few prompts to help visualize for soliciting gifts. Awesome. The core purpose is to ensure this. So it kind of reiterated what we're trying to do there as far as the purpose of the organization or the program. I appreciate that the titling gives like here's what this prompt is about. So if we're like, no thanks or whatever, we can just skip it or like move on, right? So overall program impact dashboard, it's hoping to create an interactive dashboard showcasing the overall impact. That sounds frankly really generic. It's got different sections. I mean, it's got a whole bit here though. My goodness. 2, human first AI adoption bar chart and key quotes. So this is specifically focusing on the fostering human first AI adoption objective within the program. So if we're trying to solicit that, that's a much more specific use case.
And each of these go, Dan, in that little section is like custom. Yeah. Okay. That is really cool. I don't think I've seen anybody else do that. It's a really good idea.
Say that again.
I haven't seen anybody else solicit like their own little custom, elements inside of a prompt like that. I just think it's a really good innovation.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Prompt 3, it's giving us a narrative timeline of confidence growth. Oh, that's interesting. So it's hopefully showing what that turnaround, because the goal of this program, right, is to increase confidence in utilizing AI and other technology. So I lean toward prompt 2 to test out first.
Let's do it.
Lovely. All right. I'm literally going to copy this whole thing Do you think I should do it in this conversation or should I do it in another?
Do it in a new conversation so it doesn't have any other context.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. So I hit paste. I clicked Canvas, but then we need to make sure we add those files back in.
Oh, good point. Yep.
So don't forget, and I always add the overview. And then for the program, for the responses, I also have this little like write-up of the company profiles just to help.
Mm-hmm.
And we did talk about that last episode. So I just want to. All right. So while this is going,
I've got something to show and tell from last week that I didn't get a chance to show and tell.
Perfect.
Can
Like
I
you want me to
show and tell
stop sharing?
Yeah, just for a second. Okay, cool. So how this came to be is that last week, and I can't find the share button. Hold on a second. I made my own little thing based on Dan's thing from last week, and here it is. What this does is it just takes the different things. So foundational workflow, interactive dashboard, structural visualization, strategic framework, prototyping mini apps, and advanced prompting. And then it just creates a little example of that for each of those. And then down here, it's like generate insights from it. So this is one example of interactive dashboards. A structural visualization shows like a timeline, strategic frameworks.
Which, can you pause for just a second?
Yeah.
So that suggests strategic actions with the little like, stay right there. Yep. That is when you hit the add Gemini features to your dashboards, it's stuff like that pops up. So it allows for sort of like processing on top of your thing to happen again. Pointing that out mainly because Dan and I were talking about seeing that in the wild in other use cases, and we hadn't really seen one. I used it for like an Amazon wish list response thing, which is awesome, but that just felt normal.
So, I mean, this is
crazy.
Not bad. Yeah, exactly. Prototyping mini apps. So this is really cool. It's just like shows a slider with advanced prompting. So this is where you can say, make a transcript. This is coming up, by the way, next. Make a raw transcript. This is actually really hard to do. There you go. And we'll see how it does with that. So that's an example. But the point here, what I really liked about this is that it just showed you these different, 6 different elements, and it literally showed them. So, all right, it did the persona, task, context, version. This is really cool. So I just want to show that. I feel like that was my takeaway from last week that I thought was really, really helpful to just see this is what the different types can be.
No, that is super helpful. I do want to point out, Megan, we missed a couple of your chats. I'm so sorry. The link is also on the guide to Canvas in the top right hand, or I don't know what side it's on for you guys, the QR code there. But unfortunately, I don't know how to use it 100%. That was, what would that have been in reference to? I missed that. I'm sorry, Megan.
Oh.
She's like our #1 fan, and I missed it.
Yeah, custom.
So bad.
I think it might have been custom, where you add the custom thing up at the top, but you've got to have the canvas open.
Cool. Well,
or is it a canvas or a deep research? Maybe I can't remember. Anyway,
she'll let us know. Thankfully, we get to see a lot of Megan, and she's in our Upskillerator group, so we'll be able to talk to her later about it. Okay, it is done, and I am excited to dive into this with you because this is crazy. And remember, these aren't things like I haven't seen this yet either, right? Like this is a good example of I have no idea. Ooh, what do you see now?
Wow, that's cool.
Is this still showing?
Oh no, it just went tunneled. It's like that mine shaft that shows.
That's what I know. I'm trying to keep that off of that. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is me trying to zoom in.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep. Works.
But if I zoom out here, it does make it a little bigger for me. So I will read it off to you all as well. But remember, this is the human-centered AI. Like, it's focused specifically on how are people increasing their confidence in adopting this. So Remember when I said like, oh, the top 3, but there was really 4? Like this does a much better job of here's the actual like breakout of all 4.
Yep.
And by number of participants. I love that it's calling out a few quotes here, but I don't see, this is it, right? Which is okay. I'm not as impressed though. What do you guys think?
It can do more.
So
Yeah, this is it.
There's that little button in the bottom right corner. Add
I know that.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like one of the differences here is when you're done, maybe I'm wrong about this, help me remember, but when you get done with a deep research project, it gives you more options up there, right? Like create. And so I feel like that's my expectation for a canvas as well, but that's actually what you do with deep research. I think this might be it when you're doing canvas, right?
They're one and the same. So if you X out in the top right there, Sami, and just hit open, what you just did. There should be under. Maybe it's slightly different then.
Yeah.
Well, Dan's in Canada, so sometimes his stuff looks a little different.
Yeah. It's a tariff of some sort.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Can I just say we're sorry again as many times as I can?
I'm sure in a few years it'll be very funny stories for all of us.
Well, okay, so I just asked it what I would naturally want to ask, which is this feels light. How might we adjust this to be best optimized for soliciting gifts based on the current and perceived benefits of this program? I meant to say perceived future benefits of the program, but
I'll see what it does.
Ooh, I see what it's trying to do here. It's not my favorite.
Okay, so can you sit back for a second and in your mind you wanted something else, right?
Yep.
Okay, what is it that you were thinking?
I think the other issue I probably
Slider for impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, add a slider for impact. Then what else were you looking for? I'm guessing that you were looking for some kind of graph, like another kind of graph. Okay.
It's just missing the wow factor.
Yeah.
That clearly shows this program is doing well, changing the world, and should be funded. That's what I'm missing. This feels like something I could make really easily. What I need Canvas to step up to the plate and be for me is that wow factor that I can't do on my own, which maybe I'm just trying to get vibe coding too early.
No, but one of the things, Sami, that I've done is I've taken, deep research, go find the best fundraising best practices and attach that so that as it's thinking, it's going to what's the best practice? What are the tactics and things?
Okay, can I just make an observation on myself as well on this? Dan, something that you're doing that's really interesting is that Sami and I both want to get better outcomes from increasing what we're saying in the prompt. And your instinct keeps being to go increase the amount of context, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a really important observation. Like if you want better lunches, put better stuff in the fridge. That's what Dan keeps doing. Right?
We're like, no, stack the sandwich higher.
Just write the instructions on the side of the fridge better.
And an important thing, if you're working in Google Workspace, the amount of using the kitchen metaphor, you can have a giant charcuterie platter worth of things attached to a very simple request, and it will synthesize it all together. Like
if you have enough ingredients in the fridge, and I want to just hammer that point home. What Dan's doing with deep research is he's stocking the fridge. And that's such a different action than what a lot of other people are doing, which is trying to enhance the prompt. And I just think that's really helpful for me to just see like, oh, Dan's instinct on this is actually really smart. Not that that's a surprise, but I feel like that's the mechanics of why it keeps working differently.
Yeah, we did that with video.
I cannot wait to see what you've done with video, by the way. I just think that's
you know
amazing.
what? Let's because this one will take a little bit to load while we get it going. Why don't we do our Upskillerator chat here right now? Because the reason why Tim said he's excited to see, neither of the three of us have actually seen this video, so we have no idea what we're about to play for you. I worked with Tim and I have another system. Well, all three of us have another system that we use called Cassidy. That when I'm doing AI for Anyone Live, it's got a lot of knowledge base on like what Tim's got for AI for Anyone. It's also got some of the Upskillerator information. And I was sick of the old video not working, and I've tried to show it to you guys enough that I was like, I'm gonna try and make a new one. Well, of course, naturally, I have no idea how to do that. But I knew Dan's been like nerding out about Google's new VO, which is another, it's a new video generator that we will absolutely cover in a future episode. But I tried to create a prompt for it. It was kind of failing, and that's what I get for trying to learn it 20 minutes before we were going to go live. So I sent it over to Dan. Naturally, Dan's got some agent assistant already built, a minion. They're minions for Dan. He's got a minion already built that takes the prompt that you want, because VO can only do 8 seconds at a time. It took my prompt, which I wanted, I think, a 30-second video. And so it split 4 scenes and created VO prompts for those 4 scenes.
Using Hollywood best practice video shots plus VO3 prompting best practice, food in the fridge for the sandwiches. And then we put it in a Cassidy agent. So it's not even a prompt. It's simply, what do you want? I need a video, blah, blah, blah. So our intent is anybody could use it, and it goes through the cheesecloth of being an amazing videographer who knows exactly how to do it in VO3 and chunks it down into 4 prompts that would equal the 30-second video that Sami wants. So we haven't seen it yet.
I'm kind of nervous.
And this is the unedited.
I literally just popped it in Google Vids. So if you did come to our Google Vids, the last
I'm dying. Show us.
episode that was.
Show us.
Popped it in.
Ready to master AI without the overwhelm? Join a community where curiosity meets practical learning.
In our weekly sessions, you'll learn to use AI tools effectively, build real-world workflows, connect with fellow learners.
Whether you're writing grants, fundraising, or looking to reduce burnout, we'll help you harness AI's potential.
Was it just white screen on the end for you guys?
It's going to loop.
Was it just white screen on the end for you guys too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10, which is not fair because 4 months ago, that would have been a 10 out of 10 bar none. So.
No, 6 months ago, we've never done it because we didn't have the budget or the skill sets on staff to do it.
You're right. So I need to stop being so.
Why? No, that is a 6 out of 10. And 6 months ago, a 6 out of 10 would have cost $30,000, right? Like, I mean, I think I don't think it's more than a 6 out of 10.
But it picked up,
and it was like, that was like such a low amount of work for a 6 out of 10. That's amazing. Absolutely incredible.
True.
Yeah. So I like that. This is profound what's coming. Like even early experiments we did using this method, we banged out what the fundraisers yesterday were like. We put that out and it took us 6 minutes, literally 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I went down the rabbit hole 30 minutes before we got on today. And by the time we got on, after hitting many failures, we had something.
Yeah. Again, human expectations scale instantly.
Yes.
Which is one of
it sure does.
One of the really amazing factors about humans is that we don't limit our imaginations. As soon as we see something's possible, we just, go for it. I think that's amazing. But like, this is impressive. I spent 8 hours on the biker video. Like this is minutes. Right. Of course. Yeah. But I think there is a really important message here, which is refinement is really important in the iteration process.
Yep.
But knowing what tools can do, like maybe that 8 hours would have been 3 hours now, you know. So
Any of you played Dungeons and Dragons?
no, if I did, I went to hell when I was a kid, so I
Oh,
couldn't.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
There's this thing called re-roll. With just like using AI, you just re-roll.
Yeah.
You refine, you re-roll.
So great. Yeah.
I have a fear that if I were to ever get into Dungeons and Dragons, I would never like resurface.
I feel like you would do very well in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I would love it. I also saw this guy who got.
You got
I
the
can't
snack
get into
food
that.
now.
Never mind.
If we ever do an impersonator, and this is the first time I said it out loud, but I've been thinking about it for months now.
Publicly.
If we ever do an impersonator, we've got to do a D&D like thing, because I've always wanted to, but I think that's best done in person. So Dan,
I'd be down.
you're probably going to be, if we do this, you're probably going to be the dungeon master. Just saying.
Can do. Used to.
All right. I am so thankful, as always, Sami, for all the work that you do in setting this up. Dan, thanks so much for coming, and always for just amazing content and interesting commentary. So
Yeah, sorry, not sorry, but grateful for the like tangents that we were on today. I think they were really important. Don't forget, next week we're going to have vibe coding competition. So I will make sure that our
what?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
don't you
okay.
let me? This is the
Oh,
problem
that was
with
last
working with
week. I
him.
forgot.
He agreed to this last week, and now he's like, "Wait, I've never heard this."
two weeks from now, we're doing a how to unfuck your AI policy.
Yes.
2-hour blitz with Jennifer Owens from the One Valley Community Foundation. That we will be sharing a policy template. It is really good. You don't want to miss it. So
Tim, are we going to do that live, or is that something folks need to sign up for?
We are going to do part of it live, but we are also probably going to have a sign up for it as well. For like, we'll do a part of it that's live just to say, here's what's up. And then people want to join, they can. So
yep. Love that. Awesome.
Okay, great.
See everybody next week for vibe coding competition. And then afterwards, we'll unfuck some policies. Can't wait.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.